Hey everyone, welcome to highly competitive and imperfectly competitive markets. There's a lot of notes about different kinds of markets today, um, but they're good. You should enjoy them, they're absolutely lovely. So, we have 5 economic goals here in the United States of America. Goal number 1 is we want some great economic growth. We want to produce more. We want our goods and services to be super amazing and the best in the world. And we also, because we want economic growth, we want to make sure that our standard of living is increasing as well. We don't want just companies producing more, producing better, and keeping all of the profits. We want them sharing with the American people so that we can have the best standard of living in the world. Second, we want full employment. We want our people working for their money. We want them to be proud of the jobs that they do. And so everyone who's willing to work should have suitable jobs that they are able to do and make a living at. So that's what we want. We want full employment where people are willing and able to work. We want some economic efficiency as well. We want lots of benefits and minimum costs. So we want our economy humming. We don't want a whole lot of drag on it. And that's what you will hear about with a lot of the arguments about entitlement payments, such as welfare or Social Security or even now healthcare for all. These are the kinds of things that people are worried about bringing costs up and making us less competitive. And so those are really the biggest arguments against those kinds of public programs. Is economically speaking, they're not very efficient. But there are other arguments for it as well. For example, when you offer Social Security, you get the elderly people out of the job market so that younger, newer people can take their place, improve production, lower costs, that kind of thing. Healthcare, if people are receiving healthcare, theoretically they're sick less often, so they can be at work more, so that they can also get paid to work instead of getting paid to be sick at home. So lots of arguments with economic efficiency with public programs. But what we really want is we want lots of benefits to our country and to our economy and to our people with minimum costs. Fourth, we want price level stability. Inflation and deflation should be avoided as much as possible. So the government has some tools in which they can fight inflation and deflation. Inflation is when our money, the value of our money drops, and so it costs more money to buy stuff. And deflation is just the opposite. It's when it's cheaper to buy things, our money's worth more. Sounds like a great thing, but it's actually a terrible problem to have. Too much deflation could take money out of the economy and could prevent people from actually getting money. So it's a big problem. We want equitable distribution of income. We don't want just a few people having all of the wealth while the rest of us are fighting over the scraps. The goal of the United States government is to make sure that everyone has what they need to survive. And so an equitable distribution of income. Remember, equitable meaning what's fair, what's fair. Economic security, provisions for those unable to earn a minimum income. So we do have all sorts of programs for people who, due to their certain life circumstances, are currently unable to earn a minimum income. I think we would all agree that we don't want a whole bunch of homeless people living out on the street, and it would be great to help guide people towards work. Now, that does not always happen, but it would be great if it worked out like that. And then finally, you're going to hear a lot about this in the news as well. We are currently having a trade war with China. Balance of trade is incredibly important. We do not want to have an unfavorable balance of trade, meaning we don't want to be sending our money or our wealth to other countries while other countries send us their goods. We want to be sending our goods to other countries and taking their wealth. That's kind of how this works. Most countries we have a very favorable balance of trade with, but there's just a couple countries in this world, China being one of them, that we do not currently have a favorable balance of trade with. So when it comes to markets, there's different kinds of markets. There's perfectly competitive markets, and then there's imperfectly competitive markets. So this is a structure. Perfectly competitive markets are markets where individuals compete directly and fully under the laws of supply and demand, which we just learned about, and nothing is preventing competition. So in order for us to have a perfectly competitive market, these four things must happen. You have to have lots of buyers and sellers acting independently. Sellers have to offer identical products. Buyers need to be well informed about the products, and really, to be honest with you, with technology and the internet and all of the information out there, it's your own fault if you're not a well-informed buyer. And sellers can enter or exit the market easily, meaning there's no real barriers to entering a market other than your normal startup costs and having the proper knowledge and those kinds of things, preventing you from getting in the market. If you want to leave the market, there should not be a whole lot of terrible rules preventing you from getting out of the market either. However, perfect competition is simply a model. It doesn't really exist anywhere except in our own hearts and dreams. But it's just a model. No markets are perfectly competitive. There are a few. Agricultural markets, for the most part, are what come closest to perfect competition. This is the backbone of America as well. I mean, when we think of good old American people, we think of our farmers. And so this really is the closest thing we have to perfect competition. Because if you look back at those four conditions, it is many buyers and sellers acting independently. So producers of agricultural products, for the most part, get to pick what it is they want to produce, how they produce it, who they produce it for. For the most part, wheat is wheat, corn is corn, beef is beef, pork is pork. So agricultural products are all pretty similar. I mean, we have some fancy things to delineate to make us sound better, to make our products sound like we're the best, such as my product's all organic or certified grass-fed beef. Those kind of the kinds of things that we do to set our product apart. But beef is beef, corn is corn, wheat is wheat. These things, it is what it is. Sellers typically can enter or exit the market fairly easily. Once again, it's just the barrier of, do you have the knowledge to produce this? Do you have the means to produce this? Can you afford the means to produce it? Those kinds of things. And buyers typically are pretty well informed in the agricultural market. So agriculture comes pretty darn close to perfect competition. However, government involvement. There's a lot of government involvement in agriculture, and so it's not exactly perfect. So just a moment ago, I mentioned how agricultural producers will say things like organic, my vegetables are organic, or certified grass-fed beef, those kinds of things. This falls under or starts to go into a type of competition called monopolistic competition. This does not mean you're a monopoly. We all know what Monopoly the game is, where you try to buy up everything so you control everything. This is not monopoly. This is not one company controlling everything. Monopolistic competition is when sellers offer different, you can't see my air quotes, but I'm doing air quotes right now, different products rather than identical products. So your grass-fed beef, your corn-fed chicken, your organic products, your Nikes instead of Converse. All of these are monopolistic competition. You are doing something to try to set your product apart from ones that are similar to it. And this is incredibly common. This is what most people compete in. So everyone seeks monopoly-like power by selling a unique product. Similarities, law of supply and demand govern both monopolistic and perfect competition. Buyers and sellers act independently in both. Buyers are well informed in both, and sellers can generally enter and exit the market fairly easily. Now, with monopolistic competition, most of the time products are different. Got two of my favorite kinds of cars here. You got the Mustang and you got the Camaro. They both are very similar. Both sports cars, both of them in red. Both of them probably have big giant engines that suck up a lot of gas. But there are some people that are die-hard Ford fans, some people that are die-hard Chevy fans, and these companies know that their consumers like their product, and they're going to make products that please their consumers. So they know what their die-hard fans like, and they're going to try and incorporate that kind of thing. That's why these two designs right here are kind of throwbacks to the first generations of these sports cars. Now, sometimes these products are very, very similar. And so we're going to use product differentiation to set our product apart from others. So these two products here look almost identical, virtually identical. So what we're going to do is we're going to use advertising to make these products stand out. So you've got Levi's. Look at that. Cowboy jumping over the fence, getting ready to rope some horses. Must be getting ready to catch one, because I can't imagine why else you would rope a horse. That's kind of weird. But it looks nice. I mean, geez, you put on some Levi's, you can go rope some horses. Sounds nice. Oh, look at that. You put on some Wranglers, you can be a singing cowboy like George Strait, or throw a football really far like Brett Favre. For those of you who are too young to know who Brett Favre is, that's that guy right there. And he throws a football a lot. But he's kind of old now. Probably can't throw a football anymore. Now, profits are the main goal of monopolistic competition. Sellers want buyers to base their decisions on non-price factors, meaning they want you to buy things not because of what the price is, but because, dang it, that's just cool. And so they can raise price above equilibrium, which we'll get to shortly, and you'll still buy it. So still sell profits, make more profit, or still sell more products, make more profit. And your demand for the product does not come from price. You don't care what the price is, you just want their product. That's the goal of monopolistic competition. They want your money. So they're going to make it sound like you only want their product because it's so cool. I mean, think about all you people who have an iPhone. Ugh, who wants to spend $1,000 on a base model phone? Oh, that's right, you guys. Why? Because it's the best, clearly, and you have to have it. So, Apple phones, iPhones, clearly doing well in monopolistic competition. So, Apple has convinced you that you will be more satisfied with Apple than any other brand. But is that true? Is that absolutely true? What evidence do you have that that's true? Have you tried another brand?